Salicata Tiki Barber here with you again in the midday.
Oh, man, Sal.
So it happened, Tiki. There was no agreement, and here we are with Saquon. We'll get into the baseball a little bit later on with the Yankees losing again as they've been dreadful, and should they go get Ohtani? We'll get into all that, but we definitely have to start here with Saquon as now it's official. If he's going to play for the Giants this year, it's going to be on a one-year deal for $10 million. You've seen running backs across the league voice their frustration. You and I talked about it yesterday, how it's disrespectful to the running backs, but really Saquon doesn't have a choice in the matter, and here we are.
Yeah, this feels like the beginning of the end for Saquon Barkley. Now, he has a lot of choices, and none of them are good for him. Some of them could be good for the New York Giants. Choice number one, like Josh Jacobs, sit out. Say you're going to hold out, you're not going to be there. That makes the Giants worse. And that sucks for the Giants. It sucks for Saquon Barkley. It's a bad option, but it's the only one that he can make a solid point about with this situation. He can hold out for a week or so, make a statement, but what does that really do?
I don't think anything, right?
Exactly.
At that point,
it does nothing. The Giants will be fine because he's available. He gets nothing. There's no point in him holding out for the first week or 2 weeks of training camp.
So you think he's contemplating now his next move, or you just feel...
I think he's contemplating what he should do, what's going to be the most impactful. The problem is nothing's going to work for him. And this is why I say it feels like the beginning of the end, because he has one choice that's meaningful. That is, report on time, be the best teammate you can be. And again, this is really undercutting the running back.
Right.
This situation. Be the best teammate, crush it, help the Giants go to the postseason, maybe push into the playoffs, and prove it, but not get paid by the Giants.
Okay, and then what? Let's say he does. Let me play the role of Saquon Barkley. Oddly, of the two of us, I'll play the role of the current NFL running back. But let me play the role of Saquon. Let's say he does that. What does he get then at the end of the year? You know what he's going to get, right? Another franchise tag.
Well, that or Dalvin Cook treatment. And think about where Dalvin Cook is right now. Again, we know the accolades. Pro Bowls consistently. He's one of the best running backs in football over the last 4 years, really since he came into the league, not his injury season notwithstanding. Dalvin Cook is likely to sign a deal for a year less than $5 million.
Which is, criminal.
He's 27 years old. Next year, Saquon Barkley is going to be 27 years old, and he's going to be likely looking for another team because the Giants aren't doing right by him now. Why would the Giants do right by him a year from now?
Right.
When he's a year older, a year closer to retirement, or not being a top-end running back anymore. The Giants are not going to pay him.
I think you just talked me out of the holdout already, because think of this scenario. Let's say the Giants say, hey, you know what? We offered you the franchise tag once. We're not going to pay you the franchise tag next year for $12 million.
Yeah.
So good luck, go somewhere else.
Especially if in this system that teams now have, where there's multiple running backs, not dissimilar to Tony Pollard down in Dallas with Zeke Elliott, the backup becomes he makes the starter replaceable.
Right.
And so I don't know what Eric Gray's going to be. I think he's a really good player coming out of Oklahoma. He's got some tantalizing abilities, a good receiver like Saquon. He's not as big of a runner, but in slashing systems with wide open offenses that we're now seeing in the NFL, do you need, the big, powerful running back? So I don't know. Is Eric Gray going to become Tony Pollard? Maybe. And so where does that leave Saquon? It leaves Saquon where Dalvin Cook is, and that's in no man's land as a 27-year-old free agent on the street hoping somebody loves you. And it's a crappy position to be in. And I hate it. I'm seeing all of these running backs.
All right, Derrick Henry upset, Austin Eckler, others have
all
tweeted.
of them, Melvin Gordon over the last few years. Like, all these guys are pissed off about the situation that they find themselves in. And I wish there was a solution. There isn't one. Like, I can usually think about, this could work and you could do this, and maybe you can find some value if you did. I can't see a solution for running backs.
But you're the running back, right?
It pisses me off.
Okay, so being the NFL running back at the high level that you're in this same spot. What do you do?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. There is nothing that you can do other than show up and ball. That's the only thing you can do.
You never thought about holding out at any point in your career?
No, because I always wanted to be here, right? I always wanted to be a Giant. It was basically, I felt like I was at the behest.
Never felt disrespected?
Yeah, a little bit. But Ernie,
underappreciated?
of course, he took care of me a little bit. He gave me a bonus on the back end of my deal. But here's the thing. Remember what we said Dalvin Cook is going to likely play for this year?
Right.
27 years old.
Right.
One of the best running backs in the National Football League. It's going to be $4.5–5 million on a 1-year deal.
Was offered $7 from the Vikings, turned it down.
But he's likely to pay for $4.5–5 million. I've been retired for 16 years. You know what I made my last year?
What?
$4.5 million.
That's what I mean.
16
now,
years.
What was your peak per year?
That.
I mean, that is unbelievable.
So
16 years ago.
16 years.
See, Tiki, that shows the problem right here. You can't tell me that 16 years later, running backs are getting the same thing you got on your last deal.
Agreed. Whereas quarterbacks in that era were barely making 20. Barely. Now they're making 50.
Right.
Wide receivers were making 5 or 6. Now they're making 22. This is a year I'm talking about.
Right.
Tackles are making 19. Maybe they were making 7 or 8 at that point. So the appreciation has happened everywhere except for the running back, and it's disgusting. And there's nothing that can be done because of where football and offenses have gone. And so, look, if I was advising Saquon, I would tell him, you can't do anything right now. You can't renegotiate a deal. You can only play on the tag. The best thing for you to do is to show up and kick ass. That's all you can do.
Well, it's almost like, and again, I side with Barkley on this. I'd be ticked off. I'd be unhappy, and the Giants going to have an unhappy player, even if he does decide to show up. Mm-hmm. But he's still in a better situation than most if you're talking about the $10 million for the year.
Of course. He is the 6th highest paid running back right now. It's crazy as that sounds.
I don't think, we were talking about it yesterday, what is it, the amount of money per year or the length? I think it's more the length.
Definitely.
And the security.
It's security.
He'll take the $10 million a year.
Yes.
He just wants that over the course of 4 or 5 years.
And by the way, he's better off than most because Saquon Barkley was a top 5 pick.
Right.
So his rookie deal, he made a lot of money. Some of these running backs.
Thank you, Dave Gettleman.
Yeah, some of these running backs, like Tony Pollard, who's on the franchise tag, he hasn't made any money. Right? And so he's franchise tagged. Now he'll make $10 million this year, but it's probably double his career earnings in 4 years. You know what I mean? So Saquon has at least made some money. A lot of these other running backs haven't made anything, and they're never going to make anything.
And they're not going to, right? Because the franchise tag now, it's going to become popular. Nobody's going to franchise tag a quarterback, or that's going to be rare because you're not going to want to pay a guy. You're either going to commit to a guy long term or you're not.
Yeah.
There's not going to be, let's franchise tag a guy and pay him $40 million a year when he's not that good. With running backs, you look at it and say, nobody's making anything. You know what? We have a good one. We'll franchise tag you for 3 years.
And we said this yesterday, and it's worth repeating. There were 6 franchise tags this year: Lamar Jackson, Evan Ingram, Deron Payne, and the 3 running backs that we talked about. Right? Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley. Those other 3, Lamar Jackson got paid, Evan Ingram got paid, Deron Payne got paid. I don't know if any of the running backs even got to a secondary conversation. Forget, the original offer, like the Giants offered one. I'm sure Josh Jacobs got an original offer from the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if Tony Pollard got one because he had no leverage being a later round draft pick and a platoon guy with Zeke Elliott over the last couple of years. But I don't think those deals even got close to being done. It's not like, we're working up to the last minute. We just couldn't work out a final detail. I think running backs are being exploited in the NFL, and the only thing you can do, because you have no leverage, is to go kick ass. That's the only thing Saquon Barkley can do at this point, and it sucks to say it, but it's the reality. And so I know all this talk about holding out and making an example and holding firm and doing what's right for the position. I'm just telling you, it's not going to work. It's just not. Only thing he can do is show up and be an awesome teammate.
What about if the rest of the running backs, and I don't even know if this is possible, but
there's strike.
Well, yeah, we talked about it yesterday. There's got to be some. If everybody is upset, Austin Eckler just went through the same thing and took whatever less that he thought he was worth. Which, by the way, he should be worth more, and Barkley should be worth more. And you agree that the running backs are being so devalued right now. It's not right. Well, one guy holding out is not going to do anything. What if they all said, hey, you know what? This is bull crap. The union, somebody's got to do something to help them because it's not right.
Yeah, but there's no precedent for that.
Right.
And so.
But we're going in a bad way here. It's only going to get worse, no?
But are we?
I don't know. Oh, because you're saying he's going to get $10 million, just take it and suck it up.
Well, the money has gotten bigger everywhere, even for running backs. But the running backs are not getting the top end money, right?
Well, but when you were getting it, as you said 16 years ago, was that top end or no?
No.
Right, okay.
No.
Right, so
the top end was six or seven. I think it was LaDainian Tomlinson had a big deal.
And he was only getting like almost $7 million bucks, and you got $4.5. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, my biggest issue with the NFL running back situation is that the salaries have not appreciated like every other position.
Right, which is a major problem.
It is, but what can you do about it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If I'm Saquon, I can be like, I told you yesterday. And he said he's not trying to break the bank. And I agree with him. I don't think he is. I don't think he's lying and really wants the most money. I think it's a matter of right and wrong. And this just feels wrong.
Of course it is. It is wrong. It is.
So then how do you...
Absolutely
if there's a wrong that's happening to a certain position of players in the league, it's not just Saquon.
Yeah,
This is
it's a wrong that's not rightable.
In the league-wide
that's the problem. It's a wrong that there is no way to make it right.
Because there's no way to get every running back out of college or in the pros to go on strike.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, the only way for running backs to fully realize their value is to actually be like Saquon or some of the Bijan Robinson.
Right.
Get drafted in the first round in the top 10 and make $35 million or whatever it is early and crush it.
But don't you think even though Bijan Robinson got drafted this year by the idiot Atlanta Falcons, because you should never take a running back that high, don't you think those guys are like far and few between? And I would think even moving forward, you're not going to see... Robinson could be an arguable number one pick type talent, and he went 7 overall, something like it's not going to happen moving forward. I wouldn't think.
It's not unless you get teams or coaches. It's more coaches like Arthur Smith saying, "I need this particular specific."
Because we don't have a quarterback, can't do anything else.
I need this guy, or it's.
a guy like Gettleman's not going to be GMing anymore.
But it's like Dan Campbell in Detroit,
right.
who they go draft Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. Why? Because he's a difference maker, and they need him specifically because they don't really trust Jared Goff. They like Jared Goff,
right.
and I think he had a really rebound season last year, but they need that playmaker. And so unless you get drafted in the first round as a running back, your chances of getting paid are very, very small.
Yeah.
It's just small. And it's worked for a couple guys. Right, it worked for Alvin Kamara. He got drafted in the third round, but he held out going into his fourth year. They ended up paying him a big deal, and it paid off. But other guys, they hold out, they get big deals, they end up getting hurt.
And like I was going to say, we just saw with Le'Veon Bell recently, gets the money from the Jets. Meanwhile, his career goes in the tank.
Well, because he sat out a whole season.
Well, that's what I mean. The example then would be, so how are you going to Saquon, okay, he's going to sit out a season. Then what? He comes back. He's not going to be the same player. He just missed out on $10 million. But, my God, it's just wrong. So then you have to suck up the wrong and go be a happy camper?
Yes. That's the only thing you can do.
I'd want to make the Giants feel the pain. And I'm not saying the Giants are in the wrong year.
Feel the pain?
By sitting out and then hoping that the running backs that replace me, if I'm Saquon in this spot, aren't as good.
But that's a big bet.
And then Daniel Jones flops and you say, see, I told you over.
But Sal, that's a big bet. And if you're wrong, you were toast.
How would he come back, hypothetically? Barkley holds out this year. You're saying that because no game speed, all that stuff, he's going to come back slower the following year.
He'll be fine. But you just create this. The running back is easily forgotten. As much as I hate saying that,
right?
Because you get replaced, and the production may be less, but it doesn't feel as important as some of the other.
Is it easy for you to say now because when you played, you were valued?
I was also easily replaced.
But still, running backs were valued more when you were playing.
True. That's true.
Right?
You felt like you needed
a good running back.
You felt like you needed a guy you could hand it to 25 to 30 times if you need it. Now you don't. There's not enough plays.
And there's multiple guys. I mean, you wore the back.
Of course.
It wasn't, Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs or whatever. It was Tiki Barber.
But Sal, I was also replaced very easily. We had callers call and remind me of this, like it's a big deal, but it's the truth.
Right after you left, that they won the Super Bowl. Yeah,
not even that. I left. The Giants rushed for 8 less yards in total.
Right.
So I had 1,600. Brandon had 350 or something like that, and Derek Ward had 100 and something yards. My last year, we rushed for 2,156 yards or 50 yards or something like that. The next year, they rushed for 8 yards less with 3 different guys, really 4 guys.
Which kind of plays to the point of the position being, hey, you could plug certain guys in.
You can get the production even if you don't have a star.
Right.
You can get the same production.
At least similar production.
If you don't have a star.
So if you're the star, you're getting screwed.
Yes.
And he's a star, and Saquon's been...
And so the only thing Saquon can do is sign the tag, show up, and kick ass. That's the only thing he can do.
I'm holding out. Make them pay. You know what? You're going to devalue me. I'm going to show you. Now, you're saying he's got money, right? He's got his money from his first year.
$32 million his first deal.
All right, I'm good. You're going to disrespect me. There's right and wrong, baby. Good luck to the Giants. I'm going to sit this one out. I'll come back next year, hopefully as a free agent, and maybe the Giants don't tag me, and I'll go elsewhere, but I want to see the pain on the Giants. If I'm Saquon, there's a part of me that just, I can't let it go.
Yeah. 5 seasons, he's made $38 million.
So he should be good, right?
I mean, he should be, but he wants to get paid.
And he'll make more.
And he deserves to get paid.
What's another, you already made 30, what's another $10 million for a year?
When he should be making $15 million a year.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's the problem.
Oh, man, it just sucks for both the Giants and for Saquon Barkley. Look, the Giants as an organization will be okay long term. But in the short term, I don't think that they're going to be good this year without Saquon Barkley, if, in fact, he does decide to hold out.
That's the only bet that he can make.
The other thing is you don't want the guys in that locker room, his friends, to be upset with the organization, seeing like, hey, this is not right. You're mistreating our superstar here, the face of the franchise that lays everything out. How's the impact in the clubhouse in that locker room?
Yeah, that's the untold thing. Yeah. And look, this is why the Giants would never have traded. Remember a couple years ago, or not even last year, maybe going into the year before, people were saying, trade Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, right.
Go get value for him. He's cooked. Go trade him. But you can't do that because he's your locker room leader, right? He's one of your hardest workers. He's the guy that players look up to. You can't trade that guy. But the unfortunate thing is that you can disrespect him.
Right.
Can't trade him, but you can disrespect him.
And I think that's part of the problem that the Giants are going to have here by disrespecting Saquon Barkley.